Thursday night. How's everybody doing? Very chilly here in Jersey. I'm waiting for someone to make their dramatic entrance like they always do. Never on time for the start. As you can see, I'm always here first. Hello, Kathy, Amanda, Carrie. How's everybody doing? Eric, how are y'all? Rhonda, how are you? Susan, how's everybody doing? Karen, how are you? Good here in Jersey. Very busy, very busy. Hello, Laura. How are you? Chris should be here in a minute. Hey, New Jersey. We're not so the shirt, New Jersey. Huh? Very interesting. Lorraine, how you doing? So, Frank John. How you doing, Frank? Rosa, Joanne, how's everybody doing? And here she is finally joining us. Better late than never. Hello, Dana. How are you?
How's that?
Just finished watching your Creeper Gallery from the other night. Yeah, that's what we were going to kind of start off with here tonight. The Creeper Gallery from Tuesday? Was it Tuesday?
Yeah. Wednesday.
Tuesday.
No, Tuesday.
I can't ask her. She's, believe me, memory's gone. When you hit a certain age, just goes away. I'm actually watching Tradition Die Hard. Don't know, Kindred Souls right now. Is that our episode? Who said that?
What?
Jazz. Is that our episode, Jazz? I'm not even sure. She said she's watching Kindred Spirits. So, yeah. Good evening, Thomas. How are you? Oh, good. It is our episode. Wow, they're showing that thing a lot. I told you I almost got the Emmy for that. That's probably why they keep showing that, because they did say that probably the most watched episode ever in the history of paranormal television. That episode. So, hello, Cheryl. I've seen you, Cheryl, in what, 4 or 5 days has it been since Liberty Hall? Yes, see, Jazz agrees with us. So, yeah, Creeper Gallery. We were there Tuesday night. We did make it through 3 objects. Some of us did. Hello, John. How are you? And it was pretty interesting, like it always is. We go in there. No idea what we're going to do ever. Edit, eat your heart out, Zach Baggins. You got that right, Lorraine. Although Zach makes way more money than I ever will. But anyway, we have no idea what we're doing when we go in there. We don't have any set list or anything. Donna sometimes does that, but not always. Hello, Walt. And so we go in there. We basically rearrange the whole red room so we could put our stuff in there. Move a lot of stuff around, and then we pick 3 objects, which is the way it usually goes. And like I said, I had every intention of doing the object that I didn't do the week before as part of the 3, but then we found the Wide Earp shaving kit.
That was cool.
Yeah, and the
baby doll.
The baby doll, the doll
that belonged to.
Come on, you know it. You know it. You don't know it.
Ruth,
baby Ruth, right? Baby Ruth. Baby Ruth.
It belonged to Ruth. It was Ruth's doll.
Baby Ruth. Hello, Anna. How are you? Hey, Nancy. I love the shaving kit. Yeah, interesting. That's what I was going to get to when we go again. When I was talking about investigating haunted objects and people. Hello, Kevin. I haven't seen Kevin in a long time. When I talk about haunted objects and people talk about how much I'm into investigating them, Robert kept kind of mentioning that at Liberty Hall, and it's true. I do love investigating haunted objects because it's a different person or persons in front of you for every object. It might not just be one person; it could be multiple attachments. So it really is cool to sit down in front of every new object and see what happens. Right? I mean,
I agree.
And then when you read that. A connection to Wyatt Earp and his brother and Morgan, right? Morgan.
Yeah.
Morgan was the brother.
Yeah.
And the connection, and you're like, wow, this is historical relevance, of course. And we're going to be able to see if there's anything there that we can connect.
But even the connection to the fact that I didn't know about this statement with him and his brother about, when you die or you're in the process of dying, tell us what you see.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of uniquely. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what Houdini did too.
And then someone said, a catchword or a catchphrase or something. I was just going to go somewhere and my brain went, psh, because that's just what I do lately.
Shaving Kit was amazing. I'm not
That
ready
the
for haunted
brother,
objects.
the brother who died, was Morgan was very religious. He was very based in his religious beliefs, more so than the other ones. So that was kind of cool too. So.
Oh, she's in Tombstone, his daughter. Wow, she's in Tombstone. Growing up in Tombstone made it extra special for me. So freaking cool. Yeah, it made it cool for us, even though I've never been there, but of course everybody knows the story of Wyatt Earp. I love those movies, man.
Yeah.
I love those Western type of movies, and I of course had heard of Wyatt Earp and his brothers, and
yeah, but the cool thing
I'm not sure which one was Sam Elliott.
Yeah. But what was really cool was that the pictures of all of them with Doc Holliday and like all the and what about when you did what you did and you asked, do you know, and you said his name, what was his nickname? And he
Doctor.
Yeah. Doc Holliday. Man. That was crazy.
So that's what I mean. So lining those objects up and doing them one at a time, it's always different. I love that about it because it's just, you never know. You just never know, good or bad, or if they'd be willing to even interact with you at all. I mean, there have been times where we've been in there and just nothing. And we know it's one time, one shot, 30, 40 minutes. Maybe not this time. Maybe we'll revisit it down the line. But it is unique that some of them are able to connect in a 30 to 40-minute time frame. Again, it fascinates the hell out of me, and I love doing it.
What kind of energy does that take to do that? You know?
How do you say that name? Barnabas, like St. Barnabas Hospital? Yeah, Barnabas. That's the thing you don't know. So the Wyatt Earp thing was, Shaving Kit was first. Very unique and really good shape. I mean, if you couldn't really see from the video, I mean,
the shaving blade, I opened it up and I was like shocked at how neat and pristine, and like obviously that was something that he took really, really good care of to be in that
everything condition. Was in great shape. Again, I don't know how this stuff wanders into the Creeper Gallery store. Don and I really don't get into that stuff. She'll tell me about a few things where they came from, but for me, it's just what's here, what's the information, let's go. And like I said, the Wyatt Earp thing was different in that it's in the big picture. You wonder, is there a better understanding of things when you get wherever we're supposed to go, whatever that is, wherever that is, to make it easier to communicate for some and for others. We've talked about that before, because there are some times where a spirit from the 1800s who've never seen electricity, radio, or anything like that can actually interact. Yeah. Not having ever seen any of these things before, which I love, because again, it makes that question even bigger. Like, what is it? How is it? What happens? What do they know? What do they don't know? Does some know and others don't? You know?
But does okay, like the sensors that were part of the exorcisms that those two famous priests did that were all over Netflix and people knew who those priests were. Does it make a difference, do you think, when we're investigating and there's an established history that everybody knows, like the Earp shaving set and the sensors with the two priests that are very well known?
I mean,
like,
yeah,
does it change the dynamics of us doing an investigation? Does it seem to be does it seem to resonate
knew that
more?
They were famous. I mean, they
knew.
Were famous.
Well, yeah, they were
sheriff. You know, along with Wild Bill and Hitchcock and all those other dudes, they were all famous. Hello, Luann. But again, I'm always surprised when, you know, I really go into the older pieces thinking, boy, are we going to be able to reach these people on any level? Because all of this stuff is so foreign to them. You know, there was no electricity, there wasn't any of that back then. So, but then I wonder again, time is irrelevant in the afterlife, supposedly. So are they able to, like what Kalani was saying, are they able to glimpse into different times? Who knows? I don't know. But that was definitely interesting. I was surprised when we got there and we did see, I think the died a long time ago, still evolved. That could be true, Walt. That could be very true. I'm not saying they can or they can't. I don't know, you know, but it is an interesting theory, and it's interesting to test that theory over and over and over again in different places and with different objects. Because, like I said, Kalani, when we had him on and he was talking about talking to a spirit from the future,
Yeah, that
that
was a
was
different
way out there,
concept.
man. Way out there. But who's to say he's not correct on that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, it was a pleasant surprise to see that object there and go, hey, here's one. Do you want to do that? And that was sort of one of the first ones we put to the side and said, hey, Teresa, yeah, we're going to do that one. And the doll, again, I preach all the time at our events and anything that we do that you can never tell who's the person who's going to get the interaction or the reaction or the communication. It is worth trying with different people. I kind of had a feeling with Ruth that this is a female who collected dolls, something that I have no history with or
Wasn't
no knowledge
creepy
of.
looking for you.
No, it wasn't
It was
even
a
that.
sweet,
It
gentle
wasn't even that. It was just
vibe.
again, I can't. Some people I can't connect with. There's a female who collected dolls, and it was her passion.
Yeah.
It's not my passion. I've never done that. So maybe
but he says that, and I don't.
But you're a
I was
female.
yeah,
At least a female
but I'm a
may respond to
tomboy.
another female.
I've been a tomboy. I mean, I had cars, race cars,
Yeah, but
worked
a
on
female
cars.
may
I didn't
respond to
collect
another
dolls.
female before they respond to
Well,
a strange
yeah,
man.
if they assume, yeah, that's true. Maybe for me, the connection is that there was I'm not gifted or anything. I don't have any of those abilities, but there seemed to be a gentleness to this doll that I can't describe it. There seemed to be just like so much love and so much connection. And even on the EVP, when I said something about what does this doll mean to you or whatever, and then she's like, I love it. I couldn't hear it, but you played, you could hear. I don't hear things very well to begin with, but that was just like, that blew me away. Like, I'm telling you, this is something that's valuable to me and it means the world to me.
That's why it's worth trying male, female, just to see
different reactions.
The different reaction. Hello, Celine. How are you? And then, like I said, the doll. Hey, Nancy, the doll definitely had something there, and then we.
And it was a gentle, calm response with that doll.
Yes.
You notice it wasn't like it seemed to take a little bit more energy to get the responses out, and it was like
there was an
stick
SLS
figure that when I brought her onto my lap.
Yeah, literally they saw it. Whoever was watching live, they watched it go from where the doll was, and it actually here's the figure, like my finger, it went whoop right down to your leg where you were holding it.
And my leg actually felt like there was a big ice. Like somebody had put an ice cube right on my leg where the doll was sitting.
So again, then we had to mess with the darkness because that's what we do. Hello, Cheryl. How are you? And that last item, again, was something that I meant to get to the week before, but I couldn't because I had already done the Ouija board and I was kind of spent from that. So we figured, yeah, let's do the statue. And it didn't disappoint. And what I love, here's what fascinates me about investigating. And, we have this argument all the time or discussion all the time about, people that use equipment, people that don't use equipment, and what is equipment for, and does it work all the time? And no, equipment doesn't work all the time. I'll be the first one to tell you that. No, there are false positives in every piece of equipment that we use. I don't care what it is. Mm-hmm. There are false positives. But there is a value to using equipment to be able to document different things and record different things and interact with different people. So it's sort of both. And what fascinates me is that I love testing the theory of equipment and the intelligent responses using the equipment. So for me, when you have like the spirit box and you're using it for the first two items, and there really wasn't a lot of good stuff through the spirit box with the first two items. So much so that it makes me think, like, because I was using the newer spirit box, and I'm like, oh, maybe, it's not working so great here at the Creeper Gallery. Maybe there's, interference, whatever. I'm like, it's really not working for me. So I'll stick to using the recorder and this and that and the other thing. But then with that last item, whoever that was, boy, did they know how to use the spirit box. And he just kept talking and talking and talking and talking. And I love that because, again, it's like finding the right thing in order to interact with someone. And I equate that to people from different countries, people from different times, people from different beliefs and all that. It's like, how would I work out communicating with any given stranger from any given place if you sat me in front of them for 30, 40 minutes and they didn't understand my language? How do I do that? What do I do?
Yeah.
If I had anything in front of me, I would use that as just an example, of just to try to develop some kind of rapport, no matter what it was. And this is the idea behind the equipment. Yes, you're measuring things like electromagnetic fields. You're measuring things like static electricity, temperature. That's what the equipment is for. That's what it was made for. But it was also made, in my opinion, for communication. You could use all of those things for communication as well, not just for measuring changes in the environment. You could do both.
Well, when if somebody says, hey, I just had my shirt tugged, or they get like what happened Saturday where somebody said that they had their hair stand up and it was ice cold, and it was like somebody had just run their hand up the back of their neck.
Hey, Jennifer.
You take out the equipment and you say, okay, let's try to measure the temperature. Let's see if we get a reaction or a spike on the and when that happens, with the actual physical reaction that somebody has to something, like getting the back of their shirt tugged or whatever, and then you get a K2 going off where there was nothing
it's
before.
You getting,
and the temperature's changed. It's just like, at least that gives you an idea that, hey, what you said, we have to take your word for it, but now let's go a step further and bring in the equipment and see if that also shows that there's something that's happening. So that itself is pretty cool.
So, yeah, there's the link, New Jersey Paranormal. It's under our logo right there, New Jersey Paranormal. If anybody wants to join the conversation, if you have any questions or if you have any comments about anything we've been talking about or any discussion points that you want to bring up, join us in the conversation. We'll put you up on the screen. We'll answer your questions. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. If there's anything in particular paranormal related that you want to talk about, we can. Before we go forward, I just want to thank Jennifer is watching now. We had done that live feed from the Creeper Gallery.
Yeah.
And I noticed that like there were 60 shares from that live stream. And I'm like, who the heck is sharing us that much? And I'm like, it's awesome that people are sharing us on all these different places. And it was Jennifer, and I personally thank Jennifer and reached out to her.
That was really cool.
And we encourage you guys, if you do like us and you want to share this page with people that you know on your own private page, on other paranormal pages that you follow that allow it, don't force it on there if they don't welcome that sort of thing, that you do share, because it helps us grow the community, have more people follow us. We get to do more things, go into more places. I mean, it all works, but we appreciate anybody that does that. So thank you, Jennifer, for doing that. The real deal. Yeah. Well, again, we try to be. That's all we can do is be ourselves.
We're still learning.
And as everything we speak from is from real experience. That's it. That's what it's from. It's stuff we've heard, lectures that I've watched, things that I've read, but most of what I speak from is from experience. And that's really it. And that's kind of like how this field kind of works, if you ask me. Does anything follow you home? And do you do anything to prevent that from happening? Well, she follows me home. And no, I don't prevent it ever. It's just, I'm used to it.
It's the other way around, just so we're clear.
So if that's what you were talking about, I
He's
wouldn't put
my
it that way,
attachment.
Patricia, but I mean, it really is what it is.
And he's a little on the dark side.
But yeah, she gets in the car and she's there, and then we come here. So
Yeah, and Sage
kind of
just
got used to
doesn't.
it.
Sage and
Kinda
all
got
of that,
used to
it just
it.
doesn't work.
No, I've mentioned this before, real briefly, to people that have already heard it. I do feel like I've had an attachment or two, but nothing long term. Um, I'll give you an example before we get, and I'll let you answer that too. So before I get into my next thing here.
Oh, about if I do anything, I literally remove myself from like the stove. If I start to get affected, I make no apologies. I just remove myself because for some reason there's something, maybe it's because of having experiences growing up that were really dark. I feel that I'm very, very susceptible to things that are dark. And it's not, and I know people think that if you show no fear and if you're courageous and it feeds off of fear, there has to be a healthy regard and respect for, it's kind of like when you have a cut and it's healing, or it's you got a scar over it, you don't go back over and keep cutting it open and exposing yourself to get an infection. I believe there's something about me that is very easily affected by stuff that's dark. So I remove myself from it so that I don't get an attachment, or I don't even know if I believe in attachments. I know I've been affected by things. I've lost time, but I don't remember any of them. You guys have been aware of it. I haven't. I've come out of things and seen all of the team members being afraid for me. And I'm just tired. I'm worn down, or I've been in bed for 3 days not feeling good. I mean, I think that's the worst that I've experienced. I've gotten physically ill. I've lost time, but those are on the point in the moment, not after. Once I leave somewhere where something's affected me, it's done. I think the only time that something stayed with me and it stayed for 3 days and I couldn't get out of bed was when we were in Frenchtown, and I literally lost 30 minutes of time and I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
That's it.
And as far as protection, this is as close to as I get. These tiger eye, like things that Jane Doherty gave me just to protect from negative. And that really isn't about spirits. It's more about negative people and intentions of people just not liking you and wishing bad crap on you. That's really why I wear these.
But you know what? I do believe, like what Walt just said there about where team members will start fighting with each other and stuff. I think that does happen in this field a lot. We've had it happen where all of a sudden we're all fine, we're all happy. The next thing you know, we're all like rah rah rah, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm the instigator. Can't you tell?
I've had some of those bracelets. Yeah, I mean, again. This leads me segues right into my next point, and these bracelets will be part of it. I'm very superstitious, and I'm a creature of habit. And every morning when I wake up, John McGinnis, how are you? Every morning when I wake up, I have cereal, same cereal, in the same bowl with the same spoon. It's who I am. So. When I do that, nowadays in the mornings, I watch old Dr. Phil episodes on my phone. I like prop them up and I just eat my cereal as I watch Dr. Phil. And the one that I watched, which is why I'm bringing this up, is because we were actually watching this together. There was a woman on who swore that she was possessed by demons from the time she was like 6 years old. She had 3 exorcisms. And the last exorcism worked. Now, this exorcisms weren't done by anyone in the church. They were done by a spirit warrior. And the last exorcism apparently worked, according to her. But now she has PTSD, where she has like seizures. And she has flashbacks of what these demons did to her. Now, again, when this happened, the whole family believes, because they've seen holy water and they've seen her freak out with holy water on her and all this other stuff. So just fast forward first, Dr. Phil is going through the whole things, and he's basically says, because he's describing all the different things as there are psychological reasons for things that she's done and episodes that she's had. And then, he described that because she said, then why did the exorcisms work? And he said, placebo. They work because you think you're possessed by a demon.
You believe in it.
And you think that person is doing something to remove the demon. Now, placebo is a very strong thing. It's very, again, some things are here. And in the paranormal field, there are times where you have to find what seems to be a placebo solution to a placebo problem. Meaning, we could go into a home and go in there a number of times and never experience anything that anybody else there is experiencing, yet they believe it's happening. And that's good enough. And we ask them, we could do this, or this, and they'll pick one thing, let's say a blessing or a saging or something, and we do that. And then, like what we just happened at that one gentleman's house, he obviously had some other issues, but the medium we brought with us claimed to have closed the portal, and she saged the property, and he was more than happy with that. Called later on that night and said, this is the best I felt in 2 or 3 years. Now, again, the mind is a very, very powerful thing. And what you believe and what you put everything into can become your reality.
Yeah.
Especially if you have psychological issues on top of that. So for me, where I'm going at with this is that, Dr. Phil was right in my belief. Again, maybe this woman was possessed by all these demons. What do I know? But I believe in some cases there's more going on than paranormal things. There are things that a placebo can fix, a placebo solution.
It's like a reset button.
So with these, do I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that these things have any kind of power to keep negative energy away or whatever? My brain says no way. They're crystal, whatever, the rocks or whatever, tiger. I don't know what any of these things are. I know what I was told, but in here, I think I need them because I'm more concerned about the effects of negative energy being wished on me.
Not wearing crosses that you're given, because if you wear them and something bad happens, then it's because this.
But it is placebo. It's that this makes this feel better. And that in that sense, it does help. Though I really feel like these things are right now repelling negative energy.
Wonder Woman when you do that.
I don't, and lots of people would look at that, and even if I told them that and say you're ridiculous.
But here's the thing: anything, saging, crystals, the tiger eye, the tremolite, all of the different stones and people use for protection, protection little bags that some people wear with where they do rituals over for protection, and they call in whatever that gives them comfort and stuff. You give those things power. That's what creates that. So if you feel that those somehow absorb negativity, then it's you who's giving it the power to do that.
Can I go without them? I can, but because I'm so superstitious,
he prefers not to.
Things have been pretty good lately. My daughter got good news. My son has been getting better with his issues. So I'm afraid to take them off because I'm very superstitious. And I've given them the power of that.
And the funny thing is,
part of
that's like your third set of those, because I've actually been with John where John's had these sets on and they've exploded. I mean, exploded right off.
They're made with fishing wire.
Yeah, but it's so funny because you'll be all of a sudden and they go everywhere. And we're just
what kind of cereal? I like Pops and Super Sugar Crisp. It's got to be sugar. I'm like the 12-year-old. Speaking of Tiger Eye, which is what they call one of these on here.
That's it.
I know it works because in Rocky 3, Eye of the Tiger is what he used to defeat Clubber Lang. So it was documented. So I know Tiger Eye of the Tiger does work. I don't know. It's funny. Anyway, see, well, I'm not going to get into all the crystal stuff because it's like, I really don't believe in any of that stuff. I really don't. So for me, it's way out there.
But you don't believe in demons?
Nancy liked that stuff.
You don't believe in demons?
Nancy liked that joke. Thank you, Nancy. There's one person out there laughing at that. Love any and all Tiger Eye. like I said, I get it if it's what you believe in, but
and yet
I
you're
don't think
giving
there's
these,
any difference between these and stones you find
but yet you won't,
outside.
but yet you won't take them off because you've empowered them with the idea that everything's going good. So that
The
must be
energy
the
from
reason.
it doesn't work. Maybe you can knock them out. That's what I was
You
thinking too,
listening?
Jay. If I got a slingshot,
Don't give him
I
ideas,
could break
Jay.
it and just
Don't give him ideas, please, because I'll be the one he'll try and
Captain
stuff out.
Crunch. Very good as well.
All right, but I'm saying to you again, you keep
I
you're
get the touch when
you're
I'm-
a
when it's time to shut up.
contradiction. You don't believe that these things
Man.
have power or work, but yet you put that in these that you wear and you put them on because you associate it with the things that are going good right now because of your superstition.
Yeah, because it for as long as that lasts, and as soon as the first bad thing happens, I'm going to take them and throw them back on the shelf. That's how it works. Does Donna do any space cleansing in the red room? I do not believe she does. We've never talked about it, but I don't. I'm pretty sure she doesn't because
I know she's done stuff around the and she does have protection stones around the curse box and the book inside that case that she has all locked in.
yeah,
and
but
stuff.
she doesn't do any kind of saging. Or
no, but
she
did a sealing ritual or something for protection.
And if she did, I wouldn't go back there because she'd scare everything away that we're trying to work with. It that wouldn't help anybody. Yeah, I really don't believe in the protection stuff at all.
Robert is on. I wonder, are you still?
Robert, are you there?
I'm like trying to get it out.
I just
ball busting, man.
I just don't. What's the language? Jeez. Again, there's the New Jersey Paranormal link. If anybody wants to come,
hey, Rhonda.
Come on. Hello, Robert, and Robert. Thanks for joining us. Anybody wants to come on and join us? Any topics? I'm actually in the process of setting up more interviews. I like that part a lot. I like talking to different people, and I'm going to expand beyond the normal stuff that we do here. I don't want to get too much into what that means, but I'm going to try to bring on some other people that are even beyond what I've experienced and what I've done, and talk to them about different things that they believe in. Again, I'd like to get a witch on too, but I can't find any witches or pagans that I could reach out. If anybody knows any that want to always have this swear jar. Yeah, Christopher, you have to with this one. Notice I don't curse a lot. I'm not a cursor, really. Not on live stream. I'm used to being on the camera and stuff because we've done things where I'm not allowed to curse. Other people,
he has cursed.
Tanya, Chris, they just can't. Colleen, I don't think would want to do it, to be honest with you. I don't think she's interested in coming on and talking about her beliefs, and we could, I'd love to have her on. I don't know if she'd be interested in doing that though.
She's got a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, having them, I would need to know them and meet them, because if I just bring anybody on here who says they're a witch and they start spewing stuff, I don't know, then
we really, like, when we say not just that somebody says they're a witch, like, we know that Colleen is actually a person who has continued to do her studies for over 30 years, and she does things and so it's kind of like where we know a lot of people who label themselves as something out of the blue, or just started studying something and label themselves, and they're really not as informative as, like, we really want someone who's knee deep in it and really knows the different ins and outs.
That's actually not a bad question.
What?
Patricia asked if, spirits ever get tired of the knock on something if you're here, or knock on twice if you're here. I think, in my theory, I'm sure that on their end, they're trying to communicate like they would if they were living with the living. I'm sure that they're going, hey, how you doing? I'm here, but you don't see me. You don't. Why am I not? Why, just like us with their end. I think it's the both, where maybe it is a parallel universe, whatever you want to call it. I think it's the both. I think they're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure it out. They realize we don't see them. We don't see them. And I do think that if it comes down to the old, that some of them may be just as content with, okay, I'm going to let them know I'm here. So yeah, you asked for it. Boom, boom. I'm here. You know what I mean? So do they get tired of it? I'm sure in some places where there's tons of investigators going through every weekend, all the time, maybe they're people.
Being asked the same
But I don't know if
questions.
that's true or not because John Zaffis, I told you, thinks the opposite. He thinks that it charges the building when you're doing investigations.
But I have another thing. When we pass, the one thing I was always told,
cereal's good. There's never a bad time for cereal.
When you pass on, it's your time of peace. This is when you get your eternal rest. You know, we hear that a lot in a different statement. So if we pass and we still go with our emotions and we go with our hangups and we go with our frustrations, our anger, or the loving energy that, I mean, I like to hold on to the loving energy. I mean, when do we get to lay down all of the things in life that we've glom onto and have shaped us? And like, I actually, when I pass, I want to rest. I want eternal rest. I don't want to have to come back. I'm
gonna go into every one of these buildings.
You probably will.
I'm gonna mess with everybody.
But I'm just saying, like, for me, with life and the way it's been and all that it's involved and still going through, when my time comes for me to shut those eyes, I want to be at peace, man. I want to rest.
Well, then you pick the wrong partner.
I'm going to put up a big old sign. Do not disturb.
Have you ever asked the spirit what it's like? Many times, Ann. Many times we've asked if heaven is real and what it's like where they are. And
what about that time you asked the spirit, how do you see us? And it said dead.
Yeah. And you rarely get that clear, definitive answer of, because again, unfortunately, you're not having whole and conversations. You're just getting piecemeal, a word at a time. Luckily, maybe 2 or 3 words. So ideally, you would get all that from at least one. I even asked mediums that when we interview mediums. I'm like, has any of them ever told you exactly how it works when you pass and what it's like? And they really don't answer that either when you
they regurgitate what they've learned and what they've heard.
Yeah, but you would think if you have the ability to communicate with spirits, if they're coming through you and they're giving you information,
you think you could get that?
If it were me, and I've said this a million times, this is the problem I have with mediums in general. Me being me, if I had mediumship abilities, I literally would be sitting in a room for hours with a notebook. Just, okay, who's here? Who's here with me? All right. Now, okay, I understand you want me to reach out to this one, that one, and this one. But could you do something again for me to help me understand where you are and what it's like and what you went through, and I'd be happy to help you. But could you please just, and not sit there with a notebook, whoever came through, and just kind of go through and go through.
Laurel just said something.
Is that crazy to think that though?
No, but Laurel just said something that's kind of too. She said her dad died on January 27th, and a week before, his deceased parents and brother were visiting him and talking to him. So like my mom before she passed said that people were coming in, and your mom was talking to people that weren't there.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wonder if that's what that is. That we're getting closer, so that veil or whatever that they call it that's in between goes away, and that connection hits more like you're being welcomed home.
Say, go ahead, finish.
And I think when I'm dying or I go to pass away, I think I would like to be able to go to my daughter, my grandson, and you, and the people that I love, and just say goodbye, and that I love you, and that I'm at peace, and can just be done.
Here's the problem with what you said, Walt, is that I'm a skeptic at heart, and when you say something to me like you're not allowed to present, who's not allowing that information to come? Are we talking about the higher power? Are we talking about God? Are we talking about there is a set of rules that says you're a spirit, you can only do this much? You're allowed to talk through mediums and give your loved ones message, but don't you dare tell how things work up here. Really?
Yeah, why would there be a select few on this earth that get that info?
I'm not saying you're not legitimate and you're not the real deal. I'm just saying that really makes no sense to me. That's like mediums say, or psychics saying, we're not allowed to give lottery numbers or tell you when the next pandemic is going to come. Seriously? Why? How does this gift work if you're, that's like, come on, really? If you knew it, you'd probably be ultra rich and you would use those numbers unless you were really a saint. But if there are as many psychic mediums out there as there claim to be, there'll be a lot of multi-billionaire psychic mediums out there. I mean, it's like there's logic and there's stuff that I think it was Judge Judy who said, if it don't make sense, it probably isn't true. And I don't believe that there's some rule book up there that says you can do this. You can talk to mediums, you can give them message, talk about loved ones, do all this other stuff, make things move in houses and stuff, but don't you dare talk about what happens after you passed and come back. Because if that's the case, people who are died and had near-death experiences and talked about what they went through and all that, they didn't get that talking to, they didn't get that rule book. They talk about what happened, every bit of the experience. So
well, the other question,
I don't know, that doesn't fit
if you're on, you're still here, Walt. We have this theory. John has said it years ago that a lot of the psychic mediums and stuff that we interview and we talk to, and there are some that we know that they're legit, and they've said things we don't understand, and just like out of the blue, that's remarkable. And the one thing that John always says, and he's been doing a study on this, is like most mediums and psychics that we come across have had some type of trauma in their life where all of a sudden, for some reason, they're able to click in. Is that something that happened with you, Walt, or is this something you were born with? I'm just curious, because we talk to the different mediums and we ask them, and there's been trauma.
Why are we going there again?
I'm just curious. Just curious. We ask everybody.
But again, the one thing to me, because I experienced it, I have a very logical part of one side of my brain, believe it or not. I know I don't show it here, but there is a part of my brain that is diehard skeptic that says, believe it when you see it. And even if you do see it, question it. Here's my mom, I did. I walked in and she was having conversations with people the last year of her life. And she would tell me people visited who I know weren't with us anymore.
Yeah.
And I was comforted for her that she believed that. And believe me, every bit of my fiber hoped that it was true. That whole, the veil is thinning, the closer you get, and they're welcoming you, over, which I believe me, no one hopes that's true more than me, because I want that for my mother and for everyone, ever, who's ever lived and passed. But there was also a part of my brain that was thinking, maybe it is a little bit of dementia or, something that did creep in and say, but it creeped in, but I pushed it out because I love my mom more than anything ever. And I do want to believe that it was the spirits of others that were coming to her, preparing her and welcoming her as part of the transition. That's what I do believe in my heart. And I want to believe that. But the other skeptic part of my brain says, if it was anybody else, would I say that? I would maybe say that it could have been dementia.
Or chemical thing that's happening when you're passing and the brain is trying
to protect you. She wasn't at that point though.
Yeah, when she was seeing. I know my mom was seeing and talking to a lot of different ones that were coming in. Walt he said he was born with it, but he did have tragedy. His father died in his arms and it amped it. I
agree with John. I truly believe my dad, he loved John Wayne too, but he said Duke was visiting what I've questioned it. You can question it. Doesn't mean it's not true either way. But it again, this is what I'm talking about. And I hate to go back to the point of, I do believe in mediums. I do believe that not all of them, of course. I think they're a dime a dozen, and I've met some legit ones, but I've met more that I think were in my life. But again, if it were me, I try not to overthink it, but I do overthink everything. And I would, knowing myself, if I had that ability, if I woke up with it tomorrow, I would literally sit in a room for days and try to figure out everything I could to then pass on to the people that came to me for guidance and advice and everything else, I would say to them, look, I literally drove myself crazy for a week or two in a room and asked every spirit that came through to me what, the how, the whys, and this is what I got. Even if it was little minute stuff here and there, I would say, this is what I got, you know? And I think that would make you more believable. Not to say that you're not believable if you could pull stuff out that I've seen mediums say things that are just, Chip Coffey did it with me. There was no way he could have known what he was telling me. So that alone makes it legitimate. And I'm not saying that they aren't legitimate, but I'm just saying if I had that gift, I would spend so much time trying to figure out what happens next, you know, exactly, you know. I think that would alleviate, because the near death people, I've heard interviews with a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they're very comforting, believe it or not. They make you feel so much better.
There's
about
no pain. There's an
how they
absence
feel,
of,
and that they're not afraid of it anymore. And that to me is something that I would love to pass on to the next person. And
what did that guy set up he came to one of our events, and this guy literally stood up and he said to the crowd, I recommend everybody dying. That's exactly what he said to the whole group there. And it was because he said, there's such a feeling, everything goes away. Your worries, your stress, your pain, anything you're going, everything is just relieved from you. And you just feel, he said, it's a feeling so good beyond anything you could feel in life.
I don't know, Teresa. I don't know. I've seen specials with him. My issue with him is that it's TV. I don't know what they're feeding him before that show starts. I don't know how much research they're doing before those people just walk on that he's never met before. He may be 100% legit, but I've heard stuff about Teresa Caputo too that I don't know is true or not. Yeah. I've never met them, so I couldn't say either way. But with the TV stuff, I don't know. It's just too easy, and information is too readily available now. If you'd have told me 30 years ago, someone just walking up and for a cold reading, that'd be different. But now, way too easy to pick some information that they could use for just a general read, especially celebrities. I mean, come on, really? Anybody, you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook or TikTok, you could see stuff that you could use if you know they're coming. You know, and with TV's case, I find it very hard to believe that they don't know who they're booking way in advance.
Let's be honest. If somebody has your name, has your photo, whatever, everybody lives on social media and just dumps a wealth of information that sits there for anybody to tap into. And it makes it so easy to just pull relevant things out to do a reading on you. And people don't realize, but when you're having a one-on-one and you're conversating, you don't realize how much you reveal to the other person. And the other person is really gifted in pulling out information without trying.
Mentalists, they're not mind readers. They're just gifted in body
reading
language
people, and like it's that's why they call it the Great Con. I mean, they know how to, and that doesn't mean that there isn't a place for psychic mediums and that there aren't legit ones out there, because we've met some people that are amazing. We don't understand, the stuff they put out there. But when you sit down with someone and they help you through something and it's a positive thing, then it's not a bad thing. As long as it's not one of those ones that link you in and pull you in and say, oh, you have a curse. You need to do this and this and pay for this, and then you need to come back, or how to do.
Go back to this, please. Don't do this again.
But I'm just saying that the love, like I can get you, you want a love interest, we can do a love post. Those are the things that that are the big no-nos and the scams. But when somebody's on the other side of that table, and whether they're the real deal or not, and they give you something or they help you get through something that you're struggling with, that's a positive thing. And I see nothing wrong with that.
And again, well, I'm not picking on you here, believe me, but the notion of crossing spirits over.
How?
That's, again, I'm running you through a skeptical filter in that. What exactly does that take? What does that entail? Again, are you convincing them that it's okay for them not to be afraid of the spirit world and the afterlife? or that they won't be judged and something will happen where they crossing over is such a broad term. And as a skeptic, again, I'm saying this strictly as a skeptic, to think that a person, a living person, has the ability to take a spirit and move them over to the next plane. I don't know, man. That's a tough one for me too, but maybe it is possible. Again, I've never seen it. I can't do it. So for me, it's an unknown and I question everything. But I know some mediums claim to do that. And it really, that's one that sticks in my head as another big question mark of,
yeah, that's your
does
thing
that
and
work?
my
Like,
thing.
if there is a God, let's say there was a God. I don't know if there is a God. I if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say there's a higher power. Do I know how it works? Something created everything, I guess. But if God's unable to cross these wayward spirits over, how could a living person? Is God just so busy that he misses a few, or that they have free will and they choose not to cross over, and then you convince them to do that? I could get my brain around that, I guess, but that's a tough one for me.
Well, the tough one for me is, and John doesn't believe in demons and he doesn't believe in angels. I do, and only because of my experience. So I wouldn't expect him to understand from my perspective if he doesn't experience it and he's a skeptic over it. But for me, when somebody approaches and having a discussion where I fight demons, I protect people from demons, and my brain goes, because that you're a human being. You're I know that religion is built in that a priest, I know that, but a priest that goes through, like the Catholic priests that we're taught that are specialized in doing these, give me the word, John.
Exorcism.
Thank you. Exorcisms. And then you've got the everyday person that goes online and becomes ordained, that is now out there doing what they call exorcism. It blows my mind because you come across something truly dark and evil. And I mean, you know the difference between just a bad person and something that is really, let's take a serial killer that eats human flesh. You really think as sitting here, you're literally going to fight with something you can't see, with that kind of thing, and fight it and send it back to hell away from whatever? And you think as a human being you have the power to do that?
Spiritually, priest is a human being.
But I'm just saying, but
having the
no. I'm talking about some. Well, if this is something that you like, would you give power to those stones and stuff? If you're a priest and you study and they do this whole thing, I know, because it's a tricky little slope. But I'm just saying, when somebody says to me, "I fight demons and I can push them off or chase them out," I completely say, "Look."
No, Lynn, I agree with you 100%. Only because, again, I'm a believer when I see it, and I know mediums that are friends of mine, and Chip Coffey being one of them, who made me have zero doubt in the ability of a medium to be able to really connect and tell you things that there's no way any other living person would know. That wasn't in your like Chris knows everything about me, but Chip Coffey said things to me about my mother that it's not on social media. There's no way the man would have known. So I know that those messages were coming from my mother. I don't doubt that some mediums are real at all. I believe that. All of them, no. Some of them, sure. I do believe it. And yeah, I can't explain how that works either.
Like Chip, I think one of the things that's remarkable about when somebody tells you something that nobody knows, and I mean nobody, like when they tell you something that you've kept secret and you've held to your chest and there's no one else that on this earth knows, like Chip is the real deal. Does that mean that he's always right 100% and he gives you what you want? I don't know. All I know is that I walked into a room and he said, "Hey, I'm going to do this to you, and I know you don't like it, but I have a message for you." And he actually did something that only I know.
Yeah.
The coroner knows about what happened to my daughter, and nobody else knows that. And I mean, not another living soul. And Chip just looked at me and he goes, "What does that mean?" And I said, "That's something only I know."
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not all real. Don't take that away from this conversation at all, because I have met real ones, but I know they're real because I've witnessed them do things that I can't wrap my brain around, and that I know that they weren't prepared for. We booked an event, and I talk about this all the time. And Jane Doherty, who we've known forever, we sold the tickets for the seance. Jane had no idea who was on the guest list, who was attending. So there were no poll readings. She couldn't look anybody up. We had that list. She never saw it. Yet at least two or three people in that group, she pulled out exact names and things that the people just lost it, because it was like, so again, random. It wasn't like, you know, there's an older woman coming through and she's loving and nurturing. It was, this name attached to this thing is coming through, and they keep saying it in my ear.
It was Rain.
But
it was
there
a
were
woman
a few
whose
things.
name her father called her Rain.
Yeah, but there was a few things.
Yeah,
it wasn't just that one thing.
No, and she told her where to find a ring that her father got for her.
I appreciate that, Walt, because I'm not trying to offend you.
And I think the unique thing is that her father, and we didn't know this, nobody knew this in the group. She was like this. She was controlled, sitting there with her husband, everything. And she literally, when she said rain, I'm getting rain, and I'm getting something with a ring, and the ring will be here if you look there. And then this woman goes, that's the nickname my father gave. And then it come out that her father and her got in a fight, and they hadn't made up when he died, and that agonized. And I think that all connected.
Yeah.
And how would anyone know that? That was so unique. And so we were all like, that's the kind of stuff that sets you back and makes you question, like, where's this coming from? How do you tap into that? You know?
I try to be general, but someone's got
to. Because I was that stuck. But
like I said, I'm not saying that all mediums are unreal. I can't fathom how a person would have those abilities, but some do. And
I wouldn't want them.
Before I sought out a medium, I would make sure that they were reputable and they've been around for a while. And because there are people out there who take advantage of other people, and they're everywhere, in every walk of life and everything in life. But
and there's those that are there to help.
Yeah, I don't recommend really. I only recommend the ones that I know and that I've seen do what they do. And, you know, but like I said, it's an interesting subject in that, like I said, to bring it full circle is that I'm a searcher. I'm a student. I'm a teacher. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to figure out in this head how things work that maybe I wasn't meant to figure out. And I know if I had mediumship abilities, I would probably be in a mental asylum, because I would drive myself crazy with trying to figure out.
And you drive me crazy.
I'd want to fill in every piece of that puzzle in front of me if I was a medium. And I'm sure I would drive myself crazy.
Or you'd become obsessed.
That's what I mean.
You would be way beyond where you'd have to be sedated. That I do know about you.
Every investigation is fun to watch someone's mental. Yeah, and that's the thing too. My very first experience with a medium in which I thought for 1 second that things were actually legit rather than just general readings. I was in a building that was haunted, and we told the story before. The medium said which side the spirit was approaching from, and every piece of equipment reacted from there to us. And she told me what the medium was going to answer before we listened back to the recording of the EVP session. She told me exactly where the answers were before they were there. And I listened back, and she was dead right.
And she told you what sex it was going to be that answered.
It was really cool. Do you ever think that they think of our tools as archaic? I don't know. Again, these are all great questions, Patricia, because I have no knowledge of the other side and how it works and what is and what isn't.
There's no definitives.
I'll be the first to tell you that. It may be way different than we think it is, or the same as we think it is, or a little bit of both. We don't know. And I always say this again. If we think way out there in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, think of how many species there are on this planet alone. Now multiply that to the entire universe, beyond the universe, all universes, the galaxy, whatever. and how many organisms and life exists everywhere else.
Yeah.
And we have no idea how to get there and how it works and what's there. Maybe that times a gazillion is the way the afterlife works. And we are not meant to understand it, why we are still living until we're plugged in. That's why I like the movie Avatar, in that the sense that they have those tails and they plug into the big tree,
Yep.
and they become part of the collective spirit knowledge. I think there's something to that on a much bigger scale when we transition.
I think we're all connected
to spirits.
Yeah, I think we're all connected.
That's the way I think it works.
I think it's a cycle that keeps going.
This stuff can't initially explained. What I find interesting is that each investigation I ask about what happens after death, never get it. Yeah, and you probably never will.
But that's why this field is so big and why it's so fascinating, is because there are no answers. We're looking for answers and nobody's found them yet. I mean, we all have kind of ideas, and every time we think maybe we've got a clue to something and we head in that direction, it takes us somewhere else and just like sets us on our behinds, and you start over again.
Yes.
And people believe so many different things and come from John and I don't believe the same, which kind of makes it interesting and challenging at times.
But I'm trying to, yes, there's definitely something that I'm trying to connect the spirit actually put in the hair ponytail. I mean, again, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, and we do. But tonight we limit it to one. And that's all you get. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back probably some point over the weekend, maybe. Don't know what we're doing. Probably not doing anything. We don't have anything scheduled this weekend. So this weekend's a weekend off, but we'll probably pop on somewhere this weekend. Until then,
good night. Stay safe. Stay well. Please, please be kind to your fellow mankind. You don't know what they're going through. A simple hi, a simple acknowledgement goes wonders for people. So please remember to be kind. It's important.
have a good night, guys.
Good night.
See you soon.